Speaking of next year, Peter, I don't think we've talked about the big news between this Grand Prix weekend and last was, of course, that George Russell got, in inverted commas, a multi-year contract. People are saying it's a 1+1. George Russell fans are none too pleased with that, saying that Toto should put some more respect on what George has done season to date, potentially the driver of the year alongside or just after Max Verstappen. Then he's deserving of a proper multi-year, a 2+1 or a 3+1. What do you make of that, Peter? Do you think it's a sound decision for George to bake some flexibility into his contract, bearing in mind the chaos that 2027 might bring?
Totally. And I can't imagine why George Russell fans are upset, because after Singapore, if they still hadn't signed anything, what George should have been saying to Toto was, look, Toto, you want me to sign a 2-year deal? Forget it. I would have signed it 3 races ago. Too late now. I want a 1-year deal because I have no idea any more than you what the car's going to be like in 26. And if it's a dog, I want to be free to drive an Aston Martin or whatever is the quick car in 27. So it's a 1-year deal with an option. We can agree the money if I stay on, if you like. It's a 1-year deal. That's what I want. Take it or leave it. And he succeeded because he won Singapore. Good on him. I think it's the best deal he could possibly have for a guy of that quality, a driver of that quality, to be a free agent for 27 is an amazing achievement. And all the George fans should be delighted that he's managed to pull that off.
It's interesting that, Peter. I feel not
he
bad.
Need the security in his position in the sport.
No, we'll always have a drive.
What does he do? No, he knows he's going to be a Grand Prix driver every Monday morning when he wakes up. That's all he needs. As long as he's in a great team, he's fine. He doesn't need security with Toto Wolff. He needs a good Grand Prix car. And he could, imagine if the Mercedes is not very good. The chassis is terrible. The engine's good, but the chassis is terrible. And McLaren are really quick and they're not, he's struggling to win Grand Prix. And he gets an offer from Aston Martin to join Fernando Alonso in the car that's winning races, the Adrian Newey car. And he signed a 2-year contract and you can't get out of it. Imagine that. You think your George Russell fans would be happy then?
No, agreed. The flexibility.
Point taken, I hope. Yeah.
No, 100%. The flexibility will be the apex.
Of course,
predator.
It's worth a lot of money to have that flexibility. If you're George Russell, if you're Franco Colapinto, you want a 50-year deal, don't you? But that's a different thing.
The problem is, Peter, if you're going to give a 1+1 and you're going to value a short-term deal, should come with more money, right? Like correspondingly. But George is getting 30 million a year, which is only a couple of million more than Lando Norris is getting, and he and Oscar have themselves a long-term deal. I don't know. I feel, and especially,
I don't think George is. Sorry to interrupt. I don't think George is thinking about the money too much. Of course, he's not going to drive for 1 million, but whether it's 30, 35, 25, I'm throwing numbers glibly around, but I can't imagine the state George is in his career right now. He's that fussed about it. I think he's much more concerned about being in the right car at the right time to win a bunch of world championships. And if you win those, the money's going to come anyway. These retainers are great, but it's a bit like the sponsorship on the cars now. How much of the money on which the teams perform and build their cars actually comes from team sponsorship now? How much comes from the global platform of Formula One, whether it be TV rights, whether it be hospitality rights, signage, and all the rest of it? And so George is not stupid. He knows that he could haggle over $1 million or $2 million in his retainer. But if he's successful and he wins world championships in this Netflix, Apple era, the money he's going to earn is going to make his retainer look tiny. Yeah. So that's the end of that argument. As I said before, flexibility for a guy in George's position is absolutely priceless. And he's got that. So congratulations to him.
Bravo, George. That done well, sir, and he's been brilliant all season long, so he deserves all of the success, monetary or otherwise.
Well, he deserves the ability to be able to go to a decent team if Mercedes don't deliver in 26. That's what he deserves.
Yeah. Good shout.
And imagine having to turn down an Aston Martin Honda because you got to do another year at Merck.
No, he wouldn't want that.
That would have been the worst nightmare. Would ruin your career, actually. It would ruin the way you would think and feel as you get into a racing car every morning.
Good shout. Go on then. You mentioned the Apple TV deal. What do you make of this, Peter? 175 million US dollars over, no, excuse me, 750 million US dollars over the course of 5 years. Do you think this is a good thing for F1 or a bad thing potentially?
I think it's a great thing for F1. And it just bears out my point that the money the teams generate through sponsorship on the cars used to be like a third of the package, but I don't think it is now. And that with that sort of money coming in, plus the European money, it's, we know why they want to do as many races as possible. And that's where the money's coming in. And Apple, a great company to be with. I thought the most interesting thing about that whole press statement, though, was the stat. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Cameron, because you probably read it 3 or 4 times and I just breezed through it when I was on the first tee. And it was 47%, I think, are under 25. Is that right? And a large percentage of those are female. Is that right?
So I don't know the age demographic. That sounds about right. But I know that 40% of the existing viewers are women, which is brand new for Formula One, right? It's a change, a paradigm shift.
Yeah. Well, I see it the other way. I see it as, wow, 60% of the viewers aren't women. And wow, over 50% are over 25. That's the interesting thing. There's a lot of people out there, a lot of middle-aged males who, and let's not get into the male-female thing, because to me, it's kind of irrelevant. Everybody's, the same in terms of how they should be treated in demographics. But in terms of the age group, I thought it was fascinating that only 47%, under 50%, were relatively young. I thought it'd be something like 70% are under 25 and 30% of this dying older age. That's why we're putting so much emphasis on Netflix and having, guys wave the checkered flag that nobody's ever heard of, and having 2 Apaches and 5 Chinooks fly over when we could have had the Red Arrows or some decent, proper American thing. All those things that you imagine, oh, well, that must be the young generation. But still, it's under 50%. I'm amazed by that. I'm encouraged too. Because it means for old fogies like us, there are a lot of people out there that still actually think about Watkins Glen or Dallas Grand Prix or Jim Clark. I thought it was really encouraging from that point of view. I was staggered that it was such a small percentage.
Really? I don't think, but we don't need much. The grizzled F1 vets, Peter, don't need much food or light or sun. We're going to be here anyway. We've been here all our lives. There's no going away. Netflix comes and goes, and whoever the drivers retire and new ones come. We'll be here anyway, so they don't need to give us much food and water, do they? But Netflix and the new demographic is like that. That's why I think they don't get. I agree with you. I'm quite surprised, but
yeah, I'm not decrying the way Liberty have gone about catering for the younger generation, nor am I decrying anymore the way they go about catering for the older generation, because they're making a lot more available from the archive, and they have a lot more feel for the past, I think, than Bernie ever did or showed. Bernie had feel for the past, but he never wanted to display it. That's all good. I'm just amazed that it's not more than 47%, that's all, because there doesn't seem to be any effort at all, really, to cater for the existing older generation. It's all focused towards the young generation.
Yeah, 1,000%.
That's my point, and I don't want to make any more point than that. It's just like, wow, that's interesting. There's a lot of people out there that still love Formula One.